Good evening. Please stand for the pledge to flag. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, good evening. With that, we'll start with the approval of the minutes. So 2.1 motion. Do we have a motion approving the minutes of January 6, 2025, the minutes of the regular meeting of the town board?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. With that, we don't have any bid openings, so we'll move on to the public hearing this evening, which is a consideration of a planned development district, PDD, overlaying an industrial development district, ID. The premises situated at 3421 Vestal Road in the town of Vestal, New York, and being designated as Broome County Tax Map Number 158.07-215. And with that, I'll read the legal notice. So it was published as such. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held on January 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. for consideration of a planned development district, PDD, overlaying an industrial development district, ID. The premises situated at 3421 Vestal Road in the town of Vestal, New York, and being designated as Broome County Tax Map Number 158.07-2-15. Said public hearing will be held in the town boardroom, Vestal Town Hall, 605 Vestal Parkway West, Vestal, New York. At the time of the hearing, all interested persons will be heard. And as such, do we have the applicants here? Hi. Would you like to speak on it first before we open it to the public? Okay. You don't have to, but if you want to.
Microphone, they record on it.
Oh, yeah, that sounds famous. Favorite thing. So I'm late because my printer didn't work, so I improvised and grabbed other copies, so I apologize. The project is located at 3421 Vestal Road, which is the old National Pipe Building. And what we're basically aiming to do is take the property from an industrial development manufacturing facility and turn it into, for lack of a better word, kind of a mixed use parcel where the building, the primary building would be used for various community business type activities. And then the back portion of the building would be more of a contractor's yard and things along those lines. This is an updated sketch of what we're aiming to do. This would be the front of the main building with a large deck on the front, and then a couple of entrances to allow for kind of an indoor outdoor farmers market type of cafe type of idea. This is just a little view of the inside. This is kind of hard to see, but that's a bigger shot of the building. So that's the general gist of what we're aiming to do. I know this is very hard to see, but
Oh, try to
thank you.
talk. It'll make it a little bit easier for you.
Thanks. So this is the primary building. And then this is a secondary building. This one's about 100,000 square feet. This is about 30,000 square feet. This is the delineation is kind of along these lines, where this portion would be more contractor's yard with an entrance back here. And then this portion would be more public facing with an entrance here, parking all along these areas. And then this entrance is a secondary entrance for more of kind of an employee entrance for either of the parcels. So that's it in a really small nutshell. Happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Sure.
Do any board members have any questions?
I just want to say thank you for investing in the property. I know it was kind of a dilapidated property that was there. So I know just somebody taking something and doing something with it is great. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll open up. Does anybody from the public have a comment or question regarding the project? Okay, so then we'll close the public
All right.
section of it.
Thank you.
And so thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it and for showing us in person. I saw the designs that Vern had sent us, and it looks like a very nice project, and it'll be very nice for the community as well. So with that, though, of course, with the particulars, we want to review. The seeker form has been reviewed, has been filled out and reviewed, and we have a negative declaration for the impact on the environment. So I'll read it off. So 1, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of the use of the land? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area, a CEA? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or a walkway? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy, conservation, or renewable energy opportunities? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action impact existing A, public-private water supplies? The answer is no. Or B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? And the answer is no. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? And the answer is no. So with all the negative statements, and after review from the town engineer, Vern Myers, he makes a few recommendations. So our town engineer recommends, number 1, that all construction shown on the site plans dated 12/1/23 be reviewed and approved by the planning board, be constructed within 1 year. The plans include, but are not limited to, constructing the paved parking lots, painted parking lines, retaining walls, lighting, landscaping, fencing, new contractor entrance, connection to the sidewalk at the corner of Vestal Road and Commerce Road. And number 2, the elevated deck servicing the proposed ice cream stand must be completed prior to opening the stand, sorry. This can wait until such time as appropriate and does not have to be constructed within the 1-year time frame. And number 3, that all uses as shown and described on the site plan dated 12/1/23 as areas A, B, C, D, and E must be used for those purposes only. If there is a change of use to any of these approved areas, the applicant will have to submit to amend the PDD through the planning board and town board, as different uses may have impacts to environmental concerns, traffic concerns, and site requirements. So Vern recommends that we, the approval of the project. It's up to the board members, but he does recommend approval with those provisions, so.
Did we vote on the secret?
Oh, we have to vote on this. Thank you.
You got that negative declaration.
Seeker first, the negative?
Yeah, you got
Mhm.
it goes hand in hand. So read the statement. Statement.
Ah,
That
thank you. Okay. Thank you. So for the seeker, based upon a thorough review and examination of the known facts relating to the action and its careful review of all potentially adverse environmental impacts and the entire record and proceedings relating to the action as of the date of the adoption of this resolution, including but not limited to information included on the project's short environmental assessment form, parts 1, 2, and 3, information provided by the applicant, involved and interested agency input, and public input, the board finds that the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. Thank you. Okay, and now I need a motion approving a negative declaration as to the seeker, as there are no large or significant environmental concerns identified with regard to this permit application. So can I have a motion?
Moved.
Yeah.
No, we're fine.
Okay. Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's carried.
For the seeker and the second one.
First one was.
Yeah,
First
you
one
pick-
was to accept the answers to part 2.
Yeah.
She did in 2
Okay.
parts.
Okay.
Second one is the negative deck.
Okay. thank you.
Okay. So now we're moving on to the board's vote on the approval of the project. We'll discuss in a second. So can I have a motion
So moved.
and seconded? Thank you. And I move for discussion.
Where's the condition?
Well, for discussion, we're
let
going to
me-
clarify that with that we're going to include the provision.
But let me rephrase my
Mhm.
motion. My motion is to approve this with the stipulations that were outlined that you just read.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So, and seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Okay, so we're discussing. So everybody read the provisions that are recommended? Is everybody good with that?
I would just wonder,
Mhm.
did the applicant know about the 1 year that we're putting on there? Is that a good time frame for you? Okay, good. Thank you.
And all of the provisions were discussed with you before, right? Okay. Okay, so everybody good?
Mhm.
Okay, so then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. Thank you. And thank you for coming this evening.
And congratulations.
Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll move on to the supervisor's updates. So just a few things. So thanks to Deborah, and everybody's input with the survey. There are now 4 ways for everybody to pay their taxes: online, by e-check or credit card, on taxlookup.net. Thank you. I just blanked out on it. Taxlookup.net, or secondarily by a Dropbox by the police station, which is 24/7, and that is cameraed. So for everybody's safety. And of course, everybody can still come in person to the town clerk's office, and they would be happy to help you. And everybody can still mail their check by mail. So we have 4 ways now. Thank you very much, Deborah. And also, it's going to take a couple of months, but we did begin the process of setting up and developing a website. So we did hire the company that we were looking into. And we've started with it, but because it's just going to take a little time for every department to be able to set up both the main site and their individual sites and to get everything working properly. But eventually, we will have a website that has more capabilities, will allow more input, will be more user-friendly, and will also have an app with push-out notifications so that our departments can tell you the information that you wish to hear. So, and you would sign out up for different categories. So whatever you are interested in, you can receive notifications in regards. And with that, we're going to move on to the privilege of the floor. So the privilege of the floor is the first section, and it's for agenda items only. And just a reminder of the meeting rules is each speaker must wait to be recognized, only speak during the designated public comment section, state their name and address before speaking, speak at the podium, speak for no more than 3 minutes, only speak regarding town business, be brief and to the point, address comments to the board only, be respectful of all elected officials, town employees, members of the audience, and other persons. And in order to ensure an orderly, productive meeting, residents will be heard before non-residents, and speakers will speak in entirety, then will be addressed by the board. Thank you. Do we have anybody who would like to speak for an agenda item? Okay, thank you. So then we'll close out that section. We don't have any resolutions or motions. Sue, Public Works?
Approval of Highway and Parks Department capital projects. Those projects went out. Does everybody had a chance to review them? We went over them in the meeting the other night.
Okay, why don't we get the motion in a second and then we can pause for a discussion if need be? How is that?
Certainly.
I'll make the
Okay.
motion.
Thank you. And seconded?
Good.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll wait to discuss. Does anybody have any discussion, questions or comments? Okay, so then we'll move to a vote. So motion to approve the Highway and Parks Development capital projects. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And they're carried. Okay, and Sue, Finance?
Authorization for the town board to approve payment in the amount of $1,215 to Hancock Estabrook LLP for outside counsel fees for professional services rendered through December 31, 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
Number 2, request from Scott Groves, Water and Wastewater Superintendent, to issue a refund of $100 to Frank Nemia, former owner of 132 Sunrise Place.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. And Sue?
I think that was it for finance. When we end personnel, authorization for Patrick Harnan, recreation planner, to hire the following individuals as VYBO staff starting January 25, 2025. Jadlyn Hanson, Vestal as VYBO referee at pay rate $16.50 per hour. Jenna Halloran, Appalachian, as VYBO referee at pay rate $16.50 per hour. Such authorization is contingent on the successful completion of the background check conducted by the police department.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
Okay, 10.2, authorization to approve changes to the employee handbook.
Okay, thanks. And all were included in the addendum. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Okay, let's pause for discussion. I'm gonna read out and we can discuss. And then we can decide what we want to vote on. So everybody received in their email a few slight wording changes. And they were just clarifications. There was no substantial changes in our account, but I'll read out the changes. So in section 519, in the section where it says town employees must only perform town work during their work hours, employees are not allowed to perform any type of outside work during their work hours, nor are they allowed to perform outside work that interferes with their performance, their work performance or normal work schedule. The proposed change is to change normal work schedule to appropriate work schedule. Does anybody have any discussion on that? Okay, and then section 102. The second paragraph, which was being added, all town employees must receive prior approval from a supervisor for all cash overtime. The proposed change is to change it from supervisor to department head. For clarification.
Section is that?
That looks like 702.
702.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's why.
Oh,
it's
you
down
didn't
in
do
that
it.
place.
Oh, I'm sorry. 702. Sorry.
Go back.
Oh, you want me to read them? I read the whole thing.
I.
Yeah, I'm just reading the changes because everything was included in the addendum. Yeah,
Oh, I'm just
So-
trying to follow.
I just made a few. See,
Oh, so these are as is.
these are as is,
Mhm.
just
There's
with the,
new changes.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
see, like, no, I'm sorry. So I should have sent it to you too. So there is supervisor. So like these individual words.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. And this was with input from both Scott and Vern, who are absolutely right. It makes it a lot clearer, I believe. So again, in that section, just changing from the word supervisor in the proposed change to department head. And then Yeah.
We're gonna vote on these en masse.
we're going to vote on them in mass.
The amendments.
Yeah, if we're okay with with these minor changes, and then we're gonna vote to all the changes at once. Is that okay? Okay.
Okay, so you're just saying these are additional changes.
Yeah, these are additional changes, and I'm gonna give you the copy at the end. Is that okay? Okay, and then everybody has it in the email, so they have it on their tablet, but I'll read it. So in the second 702, in the addition section, an employee may accumulate up to 48 hours of comp time, but must use it before the end of the calendar year. Just the proposal is the addition of the sentence, in the event of a town emergency, the comp time accrual limit may be temporarily suspended by the town supervisor. And it was brought up that, in emergencies, if you have another 4 feet of snow, it's all hands on deck. And we need to be able to give them the authority to say, hey, do what you need to do. And we're going to make a plan to rectify it by the end of the year. Or figure it out or give them an extension or whatever needs to be done. But then the board can act after that. Does anybody have any discussion or suggestions about that? Okay. And then the last thing in the same paragraph, salaried, was pointed out and absolutely correctly. Salaried should be substituted because the correct term is exempt employee. So rather than salaried, it would be exempt employee. And let me just double check. That is all the proposed changes from the whole sheet. So just to clarify, since nobody has any issue, I don't think, with any individual of the proposed changes, is everybody good with voting on them as just amended?
Mhm.
Okay,
You should, just a point of
Yep.
order.
yes, please.
You should entertain a motion. And a second on the amendments to this resolution 10.2. Those amendments will be passed and then vote on 10.2 as amended.
Okay, thank you. So can I have a motion to amend?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. And so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. So now it's amended. So now we're going to vote on the amended version, correct?
Amendment carried. You
Yep.
vote on the resolution as amended.
Okay, we're going to vote on the resolution as amended. Thank you. So, so do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Thank you. Okay. And it's carried. Okay, and Sue, I'm gonna move on to the next one.
Okay, well, planning and zoning, there was no report, and then public safety request from Stace Kittner, police chief, for the town board to accept $5,000 that was received as a donation.
Yeah, we skipped 10-3.
Yeah, 10-3.
Went from 10 to.
Oh, I apologize. Continuation of the personnel section, authorization for the town board to accept the resignation of town comptroller Nicholas Angeline effective 2/14/2025.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Thank you, and seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, thank you. And we don't have any planning and zoning, Robert, right?
No, we do not.
Thank you. And public safety, Sue, I'm sorry. Thank you.
For real this time.
Yes, thank you.
Request from Stace Kittner, police chief, for the town board to accept $5,000 that was received as a donation from BAE Systems to help cover the costs associated with implementing the police department's new drone program.
Thank you. Do we
I'll
have-
make that motion.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. And Robert?
13.1, request from Patrick Harnan, recreation planner, for town board to accept all donations made specifically for the Vestal Community Band throughout 2025 into line A 7310.4345.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
13.2, request from Patrick Harnan, recreation planner, for the town board approval to accept all donations made specifically for Challenger League baseball throughout 2025 into line A 7310.4376.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried.
13.3, authorization to designate Daniel D. Reynolds as the voting delegate at the annual Association of Towns business meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. And Sue, you want to?
Receive and file warrants 2025, 2A, 2G, 2P, 2M, 2T, 3A, 3G, 3M, 3T, all bills that have been paid. Nicholas Angeline, comptroller resignation letter effective 2/14/2025.
Thank you. We don't have any petitions and protests. And old business, 15.1, authorization for the town board to accept the resignation of Vinnie Griggs. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Thank you. And seconded? Thank you. And is your microphone working?
That's why I had to turn on. Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And it's carried. So we have other new business. 16.1, which is authorization for the town attorney to engage Coughlin and Gerhart as outside counsel to represent the town in Article 78 case proceeding filed on January 13th, 2025. The case name is Erin O'Malley versus the town of Vestal. So, can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. 16.2, authorization to update the 2025 salary schedule to reflect the hiring of a museum planner and remove the museum director. Just for clarification, it is the same person, no change in personnel. It's just was a mistake in just the title of his position. So can I have a motion?
So moved?
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. 16.3 is authorization for the town board to approve payment in the amount of $22,500 to Oric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe LLP for outside counsel fees for services rendered relating to the reestablishment of the Vestal Fire District in the town of Vestal.
So moved.
Thank you, and seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, so just a few announcements. First of all, the winter parking rules began on December 1st and will last through March 31st. Parking of vehicles is prohibited on all town and country roads in Vestal between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. And we do ask that everybody please move their cars because we've been getting a lot of small amounts of snow, but the plows have to get through. And it is safer for our plow drivers and better for our residents. And also Recreation Department news. Registration is now open for the Father-Daughter Ball, which will be held on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. And vendor registration is now open for the 2025 Vestal Festival, which will be held on Saturday, June 7th. Please, if you have any information or you would like to register for any of these events, please go to vestalrecreation.com. Okay, and I just wanted to say thank you to, once again, all of our people who are working all the time, getting all of this done for us, including Patrick and Stace and Vern, and every one of our department heads and our personnel who truly make everything happen in this town for our residents every day. And they work really hard, very often at odd times, to make sure that all of us are safe and get the services that we both enjoy and require. So committee chair comments and updates. Does any committee chairs want to?
Public safety, I would just like to give a shout out to BAE Systems who made a donation of $5,000 to support the police department's new drone program. BAE also contributes significantly, if not in whole, to the sponsorship of the Vestal Youth Police Academy in the summer, which was running 2 weeks, now 3 weeks. They've been a great supporter and we really appreciate them. So shout out to BAE.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the board before we? Okay, with that, we're going to move to the last public comments section is on general public comments from town business. So I'll read the rules again, and they are posted over there as they're required to be. So each speaker must wait to be recognized, only speak during the designated public comment section, state their name and address before speaking, speak at the podium, speak for no more than 3 minutes, only speak regarding town business, be brief and to the point, address comments to the board only, be respectful of all elected officials, town employees, members of the audience, and all other persons. And in order to ensure an orderly, productive meeting, residents will be heard before non-residents and speakers will speak in entirety, then will be addressed by the board. So do any residents wish to speak at this time? Okay, any other persons in the room wish to speak?
Hello, my name is John. Is the,
Okay, sir, we do require a name and address.
you require a name and address? My name is John.
Okay, you don't want to say general location of,
Bible School Park, New York, 13737.
thank you, sir.
I'm trying to figure out something. You open the meeting up with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you consider the Pledge of Allegiance to be town business? Because the last time I spoke, I was told that the United States Constitution is not town business and was prevented from speaking after that. So I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding your Pledge of Allegiance and your oath to office with the how that jibes with the statement that the United States Constitution is not town business. Now, on November 18th, I attempted to speak on town business here and was stopped. And subsequently, you've went into adjournment. You've done everything possible to keep me from talking here. I asked at 2 different meetings that you comply with the state's open meetings law that says not only do you have to have printed rules, you have to distribute them to the public. And I don't see any copies here again this evening. Succinctly, without interruption, and so far you're doing good. We're at 1:36, and I haven't been interrupted, so congratulations. So I attempted to redress grievances and was stopped. And I wrote COG, the Committee on Open Government, and they responded that they considered the adjournment of meetings in order to prevent one individual from speaking a little excessive. That's the Committee on Open Government. So I think we can clear this up. I only have 56 seconds. But I would like to know why my Freedom of Information requests seem to be in limbo. I was assured on December 15th that they were going to be back on December 30th. I've had correspondence this month and said that the delay went to the town supervisor. And again, this town is not operating under law, and, has been sued. So maybe when you want to answer that question, that would be interesting, because how can I speak on town business? How can I know what I'm speaking about if I don't have the proper documents in front of me? So we're counting down now. 4, 3, 2, 1. See, it wasn't that bad, was it?
Thank you. Your FOIA request is going to be answered, and you were notified of delay because of a large volume involved. And I'm hoping to finish it up this week, but it will be answered out as required by federal law. So thank you very much. Does anybody else have any question or comment? Okay, with that, we have a
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And second.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I apologize.
I'm sorry.
I didn't see you, young man. I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. I'm Xavier Nirhana. I live in Briarcliff Ave. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the parking minimums in Vestal. That can be somewhat of a burden to our new developments, and we call them parking minimums, but really sometimes they serve as costly parking mandates. So in an effort to build developments faster and make more land available to build units, the neighboring city of Binghamton has cut their parking minimums by 75%. Now since August of 2024. And in Vestal, we have an even deeper need than Binghamton to encourage denser development, because denser development will provide a stronger economy geared towards experiences, not one purely based on consumption and material necessity. So right now, like a consumer shopping in a plaza in Vestal at multiple stores will have 2 choices. They'll have to get in and out of their car to go from one store to the next, or they'll have to walk through like a very vast, expansive parking lot to get from one side to the next. And with some parking reform, consumers will be able to go to the places they want to go, and they'll go to more stores if the storefronts are closer together with less parking in between. And when it comes to new residential developments, the key to maximizing parking efficiency is actually to lower the parking minimum. And with the additional space, we could build taller apartment complexes without the expense and hindrance of vast empty parking spaces that surround the whole building. And residents could walk through a larger complex, visit their friends or neighbors, and walk back with no vehicle necessary, creating a better community-based space. This also makes sense in senior and affordable housing developments, where a lot of those people don't have a car anyways. And for over 15 years now, we've seen a lot of the space on the Town Square Mall, like between Barnes and Noble and Storm and Crab, like with 0 cars in them for around 350, 60 days of the year. And, you know, there's like one day there's an RV sales show, and the next day it's the emergency services show. And for the rest, it's really just a waste of space. Even during the busiest holiday rush, between Dick's Sporting Goods and AMC, it's really only about like 50% of the cars in the lot that are being used. Same thing with Target. In between Target and McDonald's, it's very expansive and kind of depressing to look at. Um, anyway, parking minimums push homes and businesses further apart, and they add more work to our already stressed road crews, whom we need very, very deeply in this winter. And the ability to build in commercial areas more freely will increase tax revenue all around and the happiness of the city. So if we're not on board with converting parking lots, let's not burden our new developments with excessive parking codes, preventing our buildings from being the best that they can be.
Thank you very much. And
Thanks.
thank you for your thoughts and suggestions.
All right.
Yeah.
Right here.
No,
Thank
you're
you so
fine. I
much.
just wanted to make
Appreciate
sure
it.
we didn't short you on time.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Bill Stewart, Gardner Road, Vestal.
Ah.
Curious, but we hired a grant writer, and I believe it was $50,000 we paid him. Has he written any grants for us? That's my first question. I know that I was told that the grant that we tried to get for the comprehensive board was denied. Therefore, it's $100,000 to fund that board, correct? Since that's dead and solar went on a moratorium because it was going to go to that comprehensive board, and since that board now is DOA, what's happening with the solar law? Will it be removed from the moratorium? Where are we with that? And that's my question. Thanks.
Thank you. So the grant writer actually was paid, I believe, $1,000. It was $500 per application, and I believe we made 2, so that would be $1,000, not 50,000. So it's 500 per application because they were basic applications, and I believe we did 2 applications. And but we did not get the comprehensive plan one. But we did obtain the highway one worth $250,000 for our highway department. Okay, it's not a back and forth, sir. I'll go through the rest of your questions. But that was retained. The second one was on the comprehensive plan. It's up for the board to decide whether we're going to reapply next year for the funding or whether the board will fund it. It will probably be considered in the next set of meetings. But it's up to the board to decide whether we fund it or whether we reapply next year and try to get the funding to be able to hire the consulting company that the comprehensive plan committee, who are all volunteers, would need. And the third is the solar. We are still continuing to do the research that we need to, and we're continuing to go on with the process of solar consideration and development and consideration of a new solar law. So we're still doing that work. So whenever we are completed with that work and we have something to consider for the board to come forth, and the board feels that they're ready to come out of the moratorium, they will do so. But I don't have any timetable as of now. It's one step at a time, but we are doing stuff. And we have been since we went into the moratorium, and actually literally throughout this year, I just did a timetable for somebody in regard. So we've literally been working throughout this year to find out information and look into alternatives, and so that we can come and develop and institute a policy that is the best for our residents and for our community as a whole. Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments?
Hi.
Alicia Gardner Road. So just a question. So you started this new policy, and I understand why, on speaking for 3 minutes and then being addressed. But sometimes when somebody asks a question and you give a response, that would bring on another question. And in the setup that you have now, you shut down all possibility of transparency, which is again what you ran on, right? So it kind of shuts that down, right? So Bill had asked a question about the grants, right? Because it just really is a bone of contention in the town right now that previous employees actually wrote the grant that we were granted, but it continues to be credited to the grant writer. And we have employees in the town that were doing those jobs, and they aren't really getting the recognition that they deserve. So I think that multiple people in the town, both in meetings last week or 2 weeks ago, the meeting on Monday, again tonight, are really just trying to get you to acknowledge with enthusiasm what employees of the town have done instead of continuing to credit it to this grant writer. So I think the point was that the grant writer wrote 2 grants, supposedly, and then one was denied. But the other grant that was granted was really held up by employees of this town. So to that point, when Bill then said to you, but wasn't that written by a previous employee? Nope, no discussion. So I would just encourage you to really examine, and I guess my question to you, to form it in a question to force you to respond, would be, when then is there an opportunity for discussion? I know that I tried to talk to you after the meeting 2 weeks ago, and it was, nope, sorry, we have to go into executive session, shutting down my ability to communicate with you, citing executive session. And because you had said after the meeting we can talk, but then we couldn't talk. And if we can't discuss during this time, when do we get to talk? And to that point, then I would also ask, I read over the agenda this morning and the addendums for the employee handbook. So as a town citizen, looking at the employee handbook, for instance, one of the changes that was made, it was changing, all the addendum said was change town comptroller to town supervisor. That's all the addendum said for whatever that particular change was. But there was no context for that. So if I, as a resident, have a right to reach out to my town council and say, Mr. Miller, I don't agree with this. I don't like this, because that's ultimately what you're elected to do, right? Is represent the voice of the people. How do I have a voice if I don't have that information? If all it says is town comptroller, change it to town supervisor, I don't know what you're talking about. Are we talking about change check writing privileges? Are we talking about hiring and firing privileges? I don't know that. So my question to you would be, when do I have the opportunity as a resident to get that information, that complete and transparent information?
Okay, thank you. So let me try to address everything and tell me if I forget anything. So the grant writer itself, 100%, Craig and Andy, 100% gave all the information that was needed and explained everything. The grant, but they don't write the actual grant. The application is written by the grant writer. Our town employees always provide the information and do the work to obtain whatever they want. And can I just say, our town employees in all different departments explore grants all the time, whether it be recreation, if they're looking for donations and grants sometimes. Our town engineer is spectacular at it, and getting us funding for bridges, massive projects all the time. So generally speaking, they do all the work in providing the information because they have the knowledge and the factual information, the layouts and the plans and whatever is needed. And they provide that to the grant writer. The grant writer does the actual work. Craig and Andy did a spectacular job. They did a tremendous amount of work, you know, and I praise them at that time, and I'll always praise them. I think they were both incredible. They contribute to this town, not just on this one project, but every single day that they work for the town. So we do appreciate it. But this is a new process for us. So in hiring the grant writer simply puts in the application so that they can get more of the things that they need for their department. But yeah, they provide a lot of information. The second thing that you had asked for about the opportunities to talk to us, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you didn't have the time to talk to me at that point. You can always email any board member. You can I would suggest make an appointment to see me or a board member. And you're welcome to stay after the meeting. Sometimes we do have to go into an executive session, but we usually have a few minutes that we can stay and talk to residents in between. So there are many methods that you can do it, and you can call and we will call you back too. So there's many different ways. It's not just the public hearing situation where a resident can ask a question or get an answer. It's really in all these different ways they can get an answer any day that they have one. And residents do contact us. They call about individual problems on their street. They call about neighbor disputes. They ask, sometimes they just ask, like you had asked about solar, what's going on with solar, and we will answer them. So we do answer in all these different ways. The only point of contact at these town meetings is absolutely not the only way that you can communicate with this board. Any single day, you can communicate with them. And they may not be able to answer you for a day or sometimes two, depending on who it is and what schedule they're on, but they will answer you. All of our town board members are engaged and try to answer. And I know some people, want to reach out for multiple board members, and that's great too. So there's always that option. So I do apologize if I didn't realize that you wanted to talk to me on that day. But if you want to stay today, I'd be glad to talk to you too. With that, does anybody else have it from the public? I apologize.
In regards to information and these addendums that come out that don't seem to be complete, how do we as the public actually know what they're about?
Yes, I apologize. It wasn't meant to do anything. Next time I do it, I will put the paragraph to make sure that there's more context to it. And we were finalizing between Monday and now we were just obviously still tonight, we were just finalizing those wordings. So I was pulling it together. Okay. It will, no, the edits and everything, but it will all be public information because Deborah can put it out with the edits and the changes that we voted on. Okay, thank you. And with that, any other public questions or comments? And so we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, and seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Sorry. Have a good evening.